controversial.
It is quite controversial. We don't even all agree here. So, I don't know. Do you want to start off, Nicole, and tell us what you think?
Look, I always say to remember there are pros and cons to any way that you choose to feed your pet. Just being mindful that it is very hard to get a nutritionally complete raw diet. Even a lot of the store-bought ones might not be nutritionally complete. And I think to the best of my knowledge, there aren't any right now that actually meet all of the guidelines set forth by the WSAVA for nutrition guidelines. So it's a bit hard to say. A lot of them are very good, but there are some that might not have the best quality control or might not be using the best quality ingredients for your pet. So just some things to be mindful of.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose for myself, I don't feed my dogs raw, partly because I don't have the time to properly prepare that kind of meal, and I don't want raw meat hanging around the house. I've got young kids, so I think if I was feeding them raw, there's just an increased risk to my family of us picking up things like salmonella and things like that. So that's one of the reasons I don't do it. But saying that, I know some clients who feed their pets raw and their animals are nice and healthy. But I always like to say, you know, make sure that you want it to be a balanced diet. So if you are doing it, we can give you the details of nutritional, nutritionist advice so that you can get it to be as balanced as possible. So there's a couple of different services there that we can send you in the right direction to make sure that it is a balanced diet. And look, I do caution it, particularly with young puppies and young kittens. They're the ones that are much more prone to getting a bit of gastro if they're fed those kind of diets. So yes, I always say, you know, these are the risks, and then I leave the decision up to you guys. Ooh, Nurse Kitty wants to chime in.
Hello. I just wanted to input that on top of what they all said, it's important to remember that the raw feeding changes with their life stages, and it's always changing, especially and you don't really know what they need throughout that stage. So if you are going to do it, just make sure you let us know. We'll help you. Okay.
And now I'm going to throw Nurse Charlotte right in it because she's a raw feeder. Yes. They welcome us.
We are around. So I have one cat and one dog. They are fed predominantly a raw diet. I do try to responsibly source the raw food, so I do buy commercially already made raw diets, so bath, and there's also like the kangaroo mints and stuff in Pet Balm. We've added bits and bobs in it to make sure they're getting the right vitamins and minerals that they need. In saying that, with the dog, I also do sometimes try to feed her a properly manufactured pet food. So she does sometimes get the Hills mature dog wet food, and the cat he sometimes gets the CD stress wet food because he does have urinary issues. So I think that is important, especially if there is a medical condition there, then you should be looking to feed a diet that is more veterinary, recommended. So they do get it mixed up a little bit, but predominantly their diet is raw. I'm a big believer in taking it back to their natural their natural ways, and so yeah.
And I think with raw food diets, there's a couple of things that I say to look out for. I was like, make sure that the meat smells fresh enough that you'll cook it for yourself to eat. If it smells funky, don't give it to them. If you've got some funky smelling chicken in the fridge, don't give it to the dog. If you're not going to cook it to eat it, chuck it out.
Don't leave it out in the sun. If they're not going to eat it straight away, then they're probably never going to eat it straight away. They're probably better off with something a bit safer, a commercial kibble or wet food. And again, if you've got young children, you're probably not going to want to leave that down in the kitchen for them to grab hold of and stuff. So
absolutely. And I guess the other thing is keeping them up to date with worming is really important if they're on raw food, because we know that things like hydatid tapeworm, they can get that through eating raw meat. So to be mindful of making sure they're up to date with worming. So
And a tip, if you're going to feed raw meat, freeze it first and defrost it and feed it, because then when you freeze it, you are likely to kill more of the bad bacteria and parasites that may be within the meat.
Thank you. There you go. If you've got raw feeding questions, we'll send you to Charlotte.